Hi everyone. Ever wondered what taking 2 million photographs could teach you? In this video, I'll share valuable secrets I've learned during my last 18 years as a wildlife photographer. These insights will help you improve your photography a lot faster and help you avoid mistakes along the way. I'm sure the editing tip I'll share later on will really get you thinking. I'm Mark Dumbleton, professional wildlife photographer from South Africa. If you enjoy wildlife photography and keen to improve your skills, please consider subscribing to the channel for weekly tips and tutorials. Now, the hardest lesson I had to learn comes with a story. I was photographing a pride of lion in the Kruger National Park. I got some nice photographs of them resting, and an elephant was approaching the pride, and I knew the elephant would eventually start chasing these lions. So I decided to move my position to get a better angle, but as I was moving my vehicle, the elephant decided to charge. He charged the lion straight, or the whole pride of lions straight towards my vehicle. And needless to say, I missed an incredible opportunity to create an amazing photograph. And I left that sighting. I was absolutely gutted for missing that photo, but at the end of the day, it was a massive lesson for me to learn. And the lesson is you are going to miss photographs like that. With the images you do capture, there are going to be some that you are going to miss. So I highly encourage you not to be too gutted about missing something like that. It's going to happen. And the big takeaway from this first lesson is don't be afraid to fail. And it goes with even small sightings or trying to take a creative photograph. Let's say you've got a bird flying across the scene and you try to get creative and you miss the photograph, but at the end of the day, you always learn something through every failure. And I guess that is one of the key aspects or ways to improve your photography. Fail, make mistakes. It's going to happen, but you're going to learn through those errors. Now, one thing I wish someone told me when I first started taking photographs, and that is to not obsess over camera equipment. I can't tell you how much money I've lost, or not necessarily wasted, but used up in trying to buy new gear all the time. We get stuck in this thought process where our camera is never good enough if a new camera comes out. And perhaps maybe back 15 years ago, the cameras were improving quite quickly, but nowadays, the cameras that are coming out are very small upgrades to a previous generation. So let's take the Nikon Z8 for example. I love that camera, and I'm sure everyone who shoots with that camera loves it too. Now let's say they brought out a Nikon Z8 version 2, Mark II. Is it really worth spending the money to upgrade that gear? I've wasted too much money to chase after these incremental upgrades. And camera manufacturers, let's be honest, they're very good at marketing. They're very good at hyping up small little features. Now, at the end of the day, if a camera works for you and it's getting you great images, I don't think it's necessary to upgrade after every model is released. Stick with the gear you have. Don't get sucked into the marketing hype of these camera companies. Another one I'd wish people had told me when I first started photography is spend money on experience rather than spending it on gear. Now, if I had to take all the money that I've spent upgrading all of my cameras, if I just skipped some of those upgrades, I would have had enough money to probably visit Iceland. That's one of my dreams, to visit Iceland, Patagonia. Experiences are going to get you more photographs. They're going to give you more opportunity to take more photographs, and your catalog of images would be a lot bigger and a lot more diverse if you travel more. So spend money on experience rather than camera gear. So the next one is quite a controversial one. I tell this to a lot of people, and it takes them a lot of time to get into this mode of thinking. When I'm chatting to photographers on Safari or during one of my one-on-one online sessions, a lot of the time people struggle to take constructive criticism. Now, there's a difference between constructive and bad criticism. So let me just differentiate there. Constructive critique is where I would say, maybe crop it like this, or, if you change the angle like this, maybe it would be better, or maybe try editing like this. That's constructive critique. But you do get bad critique when someone says, you don't know what you're doing, or, stay away from the bad critique, but seek out good constructive critique. Get advice from people who don't know photography. Ask them, what does this photo look like? Ask photographers, what do you think about the composition? I highly suggest and recommend, if you do have some photography friends, I've got a good friend, and I highly value his opinion because he's not afraid to tell me, this photograph is not good, or that composition is not good, or the light's not that great, you've over-edited this. It doesn't matter what he says, I always take his critique from where it comes. He's there to try and help me improve my photography. And it's a really very important thing to be open to receiving that critique. Doesn't mean to say that that person is right, but just take what they say and look at your photography and look at that photograph they're critiquing and think, okay, let me analyze from their perspective. And through that analysis or through that feedback, you'll be able to see actually that person is right. It doesn't matter how advanced you are with your photography, there's always room to improve, and the best way to do that is just to ask a few friends and a few other photographers what they think. Now, the next 2 points go hand in hand. The first one is always shoot photographs that you want to take. Don't photograph anything for other people. Unless you have a client who books you to create certain photographs, that's a different story. But don't go and photograph something that's popular or something that might get the likes on social media. I always encourage people, photograph what you want. If you enjoy wildlife, birds, macro, if you like photographing bark on a tree or the clouds in the sky, photograph that, because at the end of the day, photography should be for yourself. Every photograph I've ever taken is because I love first spending time in nature, but also I enjoy the process of taking a photograph, and it's a way that I express my creativity, and your photography will become better when you shoot for yourself, because creating art or creating photographs to try and please someone gets very tiring very quickly, and you'll not enjoy photography at the end of the day. And this is where social media comes in. Don't shoot or even edit photographs that are highly saturated or super colorful just to get the attention on Instagram, because at the end of the day, this should be a hobby or a thing that you do for yourself. Now, one thing to remember on social media is that you're only seeing that photographer's best work. You're not seeing the amount of failures that they have gone through to produce that body of work. Now, a crucial editing tip I have learned or developed a theory about over the last 18 years, and that is, when you sit down to take or to edit a photograph, what actually are you trying to accomplish? For me, in my personal opinion, I think through editing, you want to force the viewer to see the story that you are trying to tell. So let's take a couple of examples. If you've got a photograph of a lion, okay, let's say you were very close to a lion and you took a nice close portrait of that lion. What is it that you are trying to tell? Now, through creative editing effects like vignettes or darkening certain areas, adding some cool to the shadows, warm to the highlights, depending on what it is, you want to emphasize that story. So you might want to darken the side of the face that is towards the shadow side. You might want to brighten the face that is towards the sun. You might want to accentuate a scar on the face or a reflection in the eyes or whatever the case is. Or let's take another example. Let's say you've got a leopard in a tree and you've got a bit of a distraction on the right-hand side, a big branch that's drawing a lot of attention. You might want to crop that out because you don't want that viewer to be distracted by that distraction, that big tree on the right-hand side. So then you crop it out. I've got a photograph of 2 buffalo fighting. It's a very chaotic scene, lots of dust flying around, and I wanted to focus the attention on the locked horns. So through editing, I directed the viewer's attention to exactly the part of the story that I wanted. So in a nutshell, when you are approaching an edit, think of the story. Think, how can I make the viewer see the story or see the most important part of the image? Because at the end of the day, you photographed that scene for a reason. You wanted to make it obvious what you want the viewer to look at. Now, one of the greatest things I have learned over the last 18 years is composition. Composition is as important as getting your exposure right, and at the end of the day, we all need to figure out or think about what are we pointing our cameras at? What story do we want to tell? Now, there are a lot of compositional techniques you can use, which I cover in this video next, so I highly recommend checking that out so you can improve your compositional skills.